Okay, so let's just imagine for a second
Right.
that you're suddenly unable to work
Yeah.
due to some kind of illness or injury,
Right.
something unexpected, and you file this disability claim
Yeah.
thinking it'll be pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
But what you might not realize is that your entire claim could actually depend on one really important factor,
Okay.
your occupation.
Interesting.
So today we're going to deep dive into this world
Okay.
of disability insurance.
It's pretty fascinating.
It really is.
It's one of those things that you
Yeah.
don't really think about until you need it.
Until you need it, exactly.
Right.
And we're going to kind of unpack how insurance companies analyze your occupation when you file a claim. And we're using a great article called Why Occupation Assessments Are Essential in Disability Claims.
Mm-hmm.
And it's from the experts over at Dabowski Law.
Yeah, Dabowski Law specializes in a lot of different benefits. Disability and health. And life and retirement.
Wow.
So they really know.
Yeah, they're a great resource for this.
They are.
So today we really want to kind of figure out a couple things.
Yeah.
Like, what types of disability policies are out there?
Mm-hmm.
What factors do these insurers really look at when they're looking at your job?
Uh-huh.
And how can you set yourself up for success if you ever need to file a claim?
Because you don't want to be left in the lurch.
No, you don't.
You need it.
Exactly. So let's start off with this idea of own occupation versus any occupation policies.
Okay.
Can you kind of break those down for us?
Sure. So that's a really important distinction that could make a big impact on your claim.
Yeah.
So own occupation is really like the gold standard.
Okay.
And the reason why is because, the insurer is focusing on your ability to perform the specific duties of the job that you had when you became disabled.
Okay.
So let's say you are a surgeon
Okay.
and you develop a hand tremor.
Oh, I don't.
Even if you could hypothetically teach medicine.
You wouldn't be forced into
Right.
a totally new career.
You wouldn't have to retrain for a whole new career.
Right.
It's focusing on that very specific surgery.
Okay.
The own occupation.
That makes sense. That's reassuring.
Yeah.
But then any occupation, those seem like they'd be more restrictive.
They can be.
Yeah.
So they require you to be unable to perform any job
Oh, wow.
that you're reasonably suited for.
Okay.
So using our surgeon example, they might not qualify for benefits.
Right.
Because they could theoretically teach.
Okay, but isn't there a nuance there?
Yeah.
Because what if someone was making a good salary and now they have to take a lower paying job?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And it brings up a detail a lot of people miss.
Okay.
Any occupation policies, and especially group long-term disability, they have what's called a gainful threshold. Often it's 60%.
Okay.
And that means you can't be denied benefits just because you could theoretically take a minimum wage job.
Okay. So it's not just any job.
Right. It's about
that standard of living.
Yeah.
So they have to demonstrate that you're capable of working a job that pays at least 60% of what you were making before to be able to deny your claim.
So it's really protecting your livelihood.
Exactly.
Not just any type of work.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we kind of understand the types of policies, but how do they actually figure out what your occupation entails?
So there's a few different things they look at.
Okay.
And it can be a bit complex.
Cool.
First, they look at the physical demands.
Okay.
So, think about a construction worker lifting those heavy objects versus a teacher who might be standing for long periods but not doing that heavy lifting.
So how do they actually categorize different jobs? So they have a detailed system.
Yeah. Okay.
They classify work as, sedentary light, medium heavy, very heavy, to describe that exertion level.
Okay.
And they use resources, like the Dictionary of Occupational Titles.
Wait, there's a dictionary for occupations?
There is. Oh. And it's much more than just definitions.
Okay.
It provides these in-depth descriptions of thousands of occupations.
Wow.
And it helps them standardize things.
So it's not just about the physical demands, though, right?
Right.
What about those jobs that require a lot of mental and cognitive...
Those are critical.
Yeah.
Especially for conditions like anxiety or depression or brain injury.
So do they just ignore those then?
No. They don't ignore those at all. Okay. And actually, the Dictionary of Occupational Titles covers that too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what does it say about the mental side?
So it outlines the general educational development needed for these different jobs.
Yeah.
And even goes into like the aptitudes required.
Oh, wow.
So let's say you're a financial analyst.
Okay.
Your job requires a high level of concentration, analytical skills, ability to perform complex calculations.
Yeah.
And so they would be looking for evidence that your condition impacted those specific things.
Wow. So they're not just saying, oh, you're a financial analyst.
Yeah.
They're really getting down to the...
They're getting specific.
Nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
What about those times, though, where your official job description doesn't really match your day-to-day activities?
It happens more often than you think.
Yeah.
Sometimes what's on paper just doesn't match reality.
Right.
Think of a manager whose job description might say, leadership strategic planning.
Right.
But they actually spend a lot of time walking around their office.
Yeah.
Maybe even lifting boxes.
Right.
Or moving furniture.
So they're not just blindly trusting that job description.
Right.
Okay.
They might ask for documentation from your employer, maybe conduct interviews, even site visits to get that clear picture.
It seems like they're trying to get a very holistic view of your work.
A very complete picture.
Okay, so it's not just about your specific employer.
Right.
But also how that job is viewed nationally.
Exactly. So many group LTD policies use a national standard when they're assessing an own occupation claim.
So they're going back to that dictionary of occupational titles again. Okay.
Along with resources like One, which is this online database, and labor market surveys to figure out how a job is typically performed across the country.
So can you give us an example of how that could either help or hurt someone?
So let's say you work as a nurse in a hospital, but your specific role is primarily sedentary.
Okay.
Mostly doing administrative work.
Okay.
You're not lifting patients or doing those physically demanding things most people think of when they think of nurses.
Exactly.
But because nursing nationally is considered light work, your claim could actually be denied.
Wow.
Because they're using that national standard instead of your reality.
So there's a lot to think about with these policies.
It can be complicated.
Yeah, they seem very complicated.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and navigating a claim can feel really overwhelming.
Yeah, I bet.
It can be hard to know what to expect. One piece of the puzzle I find so interesting is this idea of vocational experts.
Yes, the article mentions them, but I don't really understand what they do.
Right.
Are they like career counselors for people with disabilities?
Yeah, you could think of it that way.
Okay.
But they have a really specific role in this whole disability claims process.
So they assess your ability to go back to work.
Exactly.
Or find a new job that fits with your limitations.
That's right. They're really the ones who decide if you can go back to your old job or, find something new.
So it seems like they play a pretty big role.
Oh, they're often a deciding factor.
Wow.
So they review your education and work history, your skills, and of course your medical restrictions. And they use all those resources we talked about.
Yeah.
The Dictionary of Occupational Titles.
Right.
ONET labor market data. To determine what you can realistically do.
So it sounds like their opinion would carry a lot of weight.
Oh, it absolutely does.
With the insurance company.
Yeah. If they determine you can't return to your job or find comparable work, that's strong evidence to support your claim.
Okay, so then if the insurance company hires them, wouldn't they be biased then?
Yeah, that's a common concern.
Towards denying the claim.
And that's why, you have the option to bring in your own vocational expert.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
So you can have your own expert on your side.
It's like having another advocate in your corner.
Wow, I had no idea.
So they can do an independent assessment of your capabilities, provide evidence to support your claim. They can even challenge the insurance company's expert.
Right.
If they think their assessment is inaccurate.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Or unfair.
Okay, so where do you find a vocational expert?
So there's a few different ways.
Okay.
Often your attorney, if you have one, will have a network of vocational experts that they trust.
Okay.
You can also get referrals from organizations like the American Board of Vocational Experts.
So it's important to find someone qualified.
It is.
What if, even with a vocational expert, you don't qualify for benefits?
Yeah.
Is their expertise helpful beyond just that claim?
Absolutely. Even if you don't end up getting those benefits, a vocational expert can be such a great resource.
Yeah.
They can help you explore other options.
Like what?
retraining programs,
Okay.
maybe alternative career paths that fit your skills and limitations.
Okay, so it's not just about getting the benefits,
Right.
about what happens if you don't.
Exactly.
That's good to know.
It is.
So we've talked a lot about the technical stuff, but I'm curious, what is it actually like to go through this whole process?
Oh, it can be really challenging.
I bet.
You're dealing with all these health issues and, the financial worries, trying to figure out this complex system.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to handle.
Yeah.
And it's normal to feel really overwhelmed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So how can people stay strong
and
advocate for themselves during such a hard time?
First and foremost, just be kind to yourself.
Yeah.
This is a tough situation. It's okay to feel frustrated.
Right.
Sad.
Yeah.
Or even angry.
Yeah. Yeah, it's totally valid.
Absolutely.
Self-care is so important.
It really is.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to reach out for support. Whether that's family or friends or even a therapist.
Yeah.
There are also support groups.
Okay.
Online communities, specifically for people going through this.
You're not alone.
You're not alone.
Yeah, that makes such a difference.
It does.
Just to know that you're not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some tips for advocating for yourself with the insurance company?
My biggest piece of advice is to document everything.
Okay.
Keep really good records of all your medical appointments, conversations with the insurance company, letters. You receive everything.
So just like a disability claim file.
Yeah. Just a place to keep everything organized.
Right. Okay.
And don't be shy about asking questions.
Yeah.
If you don't understand something, ask for clarification.
That's a good tip.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And the more informed you are, the better prepared you'll be.
Okay. That's a great reminder.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of something you said earlier about choosing the right policy in the first place. What advice would you give to someone who's looking for disability insurance?
I always tell people, don't just go for the cheapest option.
Okay.
Disability insurance is about that peace of mind, knowing you're protected if the unexpected happens.
Right.
Take some time
to
understand what each policy covers, especially things like the definitions of disability and how they determine your own occupation.
Okay, so it's not just about price.
Right. Think of it as an investment in your future.
Okay.
Right.
And then while you're going through all this, it can be easy to feel like just another case file.
It can be easy to feel dehumanized.
Yeah, so how can people reclaim their sense of individuality when they're working with these medical professionals and insurance adjusters?
Surround yourself with people who see you as a whole person.
Yeah.
Not just a patient or a claimant.
Having that human connection is so important.
It is.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that we're all in this together.
We are.
And I think one thing that gets overlooked sometimes is the emotional and psychological impact of not being able to work.
Absolutely.
It can really affect your identity.
It can.
Your sense of self-worth.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so this whole conversation just really makes me realize how much work is tied to our well-being.
Yeah, it's about more than just a paycheck.
Yeah.
It gives us that purpose, a sense of accomplishment, and it helps us feel connected to the world.
Right.
So when that's taken away, it can have a really big impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond the U.S. system, right?
Absolutely.
These same principles apply no matter where you are.
If you rely on your ability to work, it's important to understand how disability claims are assessed in your own country.
Right.
Be proactive.
Yeah.
Learn about your rights. Advocate for yourself every step of the way.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
You've given us a lot to think about.
It's a big topic.
It is.
Yeah.
And the article from Dabowski Law also mentions appealing denials.
Yes.
Which we touched on a little bit earlier. How common are those denials?
Denials are more common than you might think.
Really?
And it's important to know that you do have the right to appeal.
Okay.
Don't give up
Okay.
if your initial claim is denied.
Yeah, it can be really discouraging to get that denial letter.
Right. Especially when you're
already dealing with so much.
Yeah.
It feels like a setback.
Yeah.
But it's not the end of the road.
The article really stresses that working with those vocational experts or lawyers who specialize in these claims can be so valuable during the appeals process.
So having those experts can really make a difference.
It can.
In your chances.
Yeah, they know how to gather the evidence,
Okay.
present your case, and really navigate all the legal stuff.
Yeah, it's like having a guide through this really complex system.
It is.
Yeah.
And appealing a denial can feel like you're hitting a wall.
Yeah.
But with the right support and the right prep, you can get through it.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
This whole deep dive has been so eye-opening.
It has.
We've learned about, the different types of policies, the complexities of, how occupations are actually assessed.
Right.
The role of vocational experts.
Yeah.
Even the emotional side of all this.
It's a lot.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder about the future.
Yeah.
As technology and medicine keep advancing.
How will that change how we approach disability in work?
Yeah. That's a great question.
Yeah.
I mean, we're already seeing, assistive technologies like voice recognition or screen readers helping people with disabilities participate in the workforce.
Yeah.
And as these technologies evolve, they have the potential to break down even more barriers.
It's exciting to think about.
It is.
Imagine, physical limitations no longer being an obstacle to getting a job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And medical advancements are another piece too.
Right.
As we learn more about chronic pain, mental health, neurodegenerative diseases, we may be able to develop better treatments.
So instead of focusing on the limitations, we can focus on the abilities.
Right. Finding ways to help people reach their full potential.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's about recognizing that everyone has unique talents and contributions to make, regardless of
their physical or mental capabilities.
It's about embracing diversity.
Absolutely.
And creating a world where everyone can thrive.
I love that.
Yeah. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some key takeaways for our listeners?
If you rely on your ability to work, it's so important to understand how these disability claims are assessed.
Right.
Be proactive.
Okay.
Review your policy. Make sure your job description is accurate. And most importantly, don't be afraid to advocate for yourself.
And remember, you're not alone in this.
You're not.
There are resources and experts out there to support you.
Yeah.
And this deep dive was U.S.-centric, but these principles apply everywhere.
They do.
Knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
And being informed is the first step to protecting yourself and your future.
Well said.
Thank you.
It's been great exploring this with you.
Likewise. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you found it informative and empowering.
And we'll see you next time
On the Deep Dive.